Hello, everyone. We're just going live on Facebook in just a moment. Then we can start on the wealth creation with Gaitha. It will be just a moment. All right. Good evening, everyone, and good morning. If you're in the US, good evening. If you're in Africa, welcome to Wealth Conversations with Gaitha. And today we'll be talking about creating wealth through business. So I'm quite excited about this. So we're just waiting for a few people to roll in, and then we can start this conversation. What I would recommend is if you are on Zoom, if you can just mute. I see everybody here is muted. So that way we can make sure that we hear everything that is being discussed today. And as I go on with this conversation, I'd appreciate it if you have any questions, you can just put them on the chat box, which is on your top right-hand side. And we will be able to then answer that question. So we will just go in and see how many people are on Facebook so that we can start this conversation. All right. All right, I see a few people who are coming in on Facebook. Please comment, please tell me your name or where you are so that I know where you are tuning in from so that I can make sure that I also tap into the information that is important for your region. So if you're on Facebook, just go ahead and put your name, location, and we can start this conversation about creating wealth through business. If your video is on, I'd appreciate it if you could just go ahead and just put off the video if you're on Zoom. So that way we have just the speaker view. I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. Welcome to Wealth Conversations with Gaitha. I see a few people coming in on Facebook. Please go ahead and just put your name and location, and so that I know where you're calling from. I'm sorry, I can know where you are, and I can be able to answer your questions today. And also, if you're on Facebook, I'll appreciate it if you actually share it on Facebook and make sure there's a watch party so that people can be able to get information about creating wealth through business. All right. Welcome, everyone. I do see here on Zoom, we actually have Julia Wanta. Welcome to Wealth Creations by Gaitha. I see Nyambura Mahia, sorry. Welcome. I see Lily, Eva Wangeshi. Welcome to Wealth Creations with Gaitha. And I do see somebody else, but they don't have your name, but welcome and thank you for joining me today. And we'll be starting this conversation in just 1 minute because it's actually 6:05. And as they say, time waits for no man, so we can start having this conversation right away. So thank you very much. I'm very excited to talk about business because this is something that I'm very passionate about because I've been telling everybody, wherever you are in the world, but especially if you're in Africa, that business is the way that you make money. If you want to create wealth sustainably, you have to be in business. And today I'll be talking about the different ways you can actually be able to make money through business, whether it's actively or it's passively, but what you want to be doing is actually being in business. And the reason, and I'll just give you a background story about this. The reason I am pretty sure that the way to create wealth is through business is because I've been a banker for much of my career. And I can tell you, I've worked with the wealthy of the wealthy, whether it's in Los Angeles or here in Nairobi, and majority of them are in business. And one of the things they are is they're in very strategic businesses that actually they're able to provide a good or a service that actually they're always able to make money during good times and during bad times. They're able to diversify their portfolio by making sure that they're providing the right services that people will always spend money on. The other day I was reading a research by a Soko, which is a research firm here in Kenya, though it's global, and it was just talking about the top family businesses in this country, and all of them are of course run by families, and they are diversified in everything that they do, and they make a lot of money. They're the ones who own the supermarkets, they're the ones who own these banks, they're the ones who own these factories. They are able to do these businesses in their family, and they're able to actually continue it from generations to come. One of the things that I've been talking to everyone is making sure that you understand when you're actually starting a business, it's really you're creating something that is actually going to be something that the generations can inherit. One of the things that you will learn when you're creating wealth is your children cannot inherit your salary, right? They can inherit your job, but they cannot inherit your salary. But your children can inherit your business. Your children can inherit your investment. So when you're really looking about creating wealth for generations to come, you really have to be saying, what kind of business can I be able to invest? And before I go into too deep about the different businesses and how you should invest in these different businesses and different structures, I really want to just go real quick about the different conversations we've been having. This is the 4th episode, and I'm very excited because when I started this, I didn't know what direction it would take, but I was very passionate about saying this is the season that people should be listening, they should be learning, they should be leveling up. Listen, learn, level up. That is what I have been doing to make sure that I am prepared for after COVID, because this season of crisis will end, and the people who will survive and be successful are those ones who have been listening, learning, and taking the time to progress. And so the first episode, we were really talking about the wealth formula, which I shared, which is really having a positive wealth mindset, making sure you think abundance, having a wealth plan, and wealth accumulation. And then I talked about map your life, where I talked about even when you're thinking about creating wealth, it's not about money, it's about your whole life. It's about your whole vision. You have to have a life plan, you have to have a health plan, you have to have a wealth plan, and a knowledge plan, because knowledge is important. Knowledge is key. The wealthy of the wealthy know how to make money. So it was really important. And then I touched a little bit about the SBI formula that we follow at Regal Africa, which is the company that I founded, which is where we say for you to be wealthy, especially if you're in Kenya. In other cultures, it's a bit different, but in Kenya, you need to have a salary, you need to have business profits, and you need to have investment income. So last week, I was really talking about investment income, and I thought this week, why don't we have a discussion about business, because a lot of people are in businesses whereby they've either shut them down, other people are re-strategizing, but other people are having the time of their lives. They're making a whole lot of money. So the question is, what part of the equation do you want to be in? What kind of business do you want to be in that will make sure that you're making money and you'll be able to create wealth for generations to come? Again, for all of you who are tuning in, welcome to Wealth Conversation with Gaitha. I'm Gaitha, and I'm the founder of Regal Africa, which is a firm based here in Nairobi, Kenya, which I established in 2015 to be able to help everyone create wealth. I'm very passionate about wealth creation for all and Africa economic development. So thank you for joining me, and I will be talking about wealth creation through business. And I do see more people joining in from on Facebook. I would appreciate it if you just put your name and your location so that I know where you are. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and just type in the questions, and I will be sure to join in. I would also appreciate if you are on Zoom, if you can just put off your video so that we can just make sure that the speaker is on so that the people on Facebook can actually hear and see me. So if you are on Zoom, go ahead and please put your video off and mute so that we can be able to have a good broadcast. So thank you very much. So just to start off, when you're talking about creating wealth and really about business profits, you have to find out what is the direction that you want to take. So that is really your wealth strategy. You can either be actively in business or you could actually take a passive space. Most people, when they think about business, they think about being very active, right? So someone will say, I own a business, and this business that I own is probably, say, for example, I own a hotel, or maybe I own a bakery, or I own a factory. And so you own that business and you're in that business working day in, day out. And the way you make money out of that business is really by making money through the business profits. And business profits basically means, you know, you make revenue, you have your expenses, and whatever is left behind is your business profits. Now, the wealthy of the wealthy know that for them to actually to continue creating wealth, if they're actively in business, is by doing two things. One, either you actually go in and you use the profits that you've made doing this business and putting them back into the business. So you're investing back into your business so that your business is constantly growing. Your business is constantly growing. The other thing you can do is you can actually take this money that you make in your business and actually put it in other investments or other businesses or other investments so that you're diversifying your investment income. And that is actually the smart way to do, because if you put everything in one business, everything in one basket, you're going to have problems. And that is the situation that we've seen a lot of people who are in only one business, that is a business that they have known all their life. They have invested into that business, and then a crisis like this happens and they realize, oh my God, I do not have a fallback plan. So when you're looking to create wealth through business, you actually have to tell yourself, if you're actively in business, you want to be able to take the profits that you make, reinvest it back into your business, especially in the beginning years. You want to put it back into your business, and so your business continuously grows. But once it reaches a place whereby you realize that I can actually find other opportunities outside my business, then it is a good idea to actually put money into other businesses. The other way you can actually make money through business is by saying, okay, sorry, just give me a moment, because I'm seeing here that people can't really see me. And so I just need to make sure that the people can see me. So just give me one moment. I apologize about that, but I just want to make sure that everyone can see me. Okay, all right. All right, so it will just be a moment, and then we can be sure that you can all see me. I hope you can all see me now. Thank you very much. All right, so for some of you who've just joined in, again, my name is Gaitha, and welcome to Wealth Conversations with Gaitha. And today we'll be talking about how to create wealth through business. As I was talking earlier, most people just know that if I'm in business and if I want to make business profits, I have to be actively in business. I have to control that business. I have to be in that business from morning to evening. I have to make sure that things are going well in that business. And that's one way of doing business, but there are other ways of making business. And the wealthy of the wealthy understand that, because they understand you're limited in capacity of time, you're limited in capacity of where you can be in any situation. So you always have to think, how can I be able to maximize my time? How do I maximize my capital when I'm making money through business? Now, when you are looking to say, let me go into business, and you've actually decided I'm either going to be in active business or I'm going to be in business passively, and I'll explain what that means. When you're active business, there are different ways of structuring that business. Either you can decide to go at it alone and be a sole proprietor. The advantage of this is great. You make all the decisions yourself, everything is good. But the thing about it is all the risk is on you. The capital is you. Every decision is on you. So this limits you when you're trying to scale up. So what I usually encourage people to do is you can actually start off as a sole proprietor, but you want to think differently. You want to start saying, can I get a partner? But getting a partner is not easy. Finding the right partner is what's really important, because the wrong partner can actually drive your business down. So when you're thinking about going into business, you have to say, can I find the right partner? And if you cannot find the right partner, then start it off on your own. And then when the right time comes, the right person will come into your business. One of the things, especially now because of the situation we're in, I've been really encouraging a lot of people to get into family businesses. And the reason I've been doing that is because when you look at family businesses, if you're in a family that have good dynamics, it's a good place to actually work with people. One, because they're your blood, so there's a connection there. Your friends, hopefully your friends, and what happens is you can find that there are different people in your family who have different strengths. When you're looking to make money in a business, you have to figure out who has what, right? So not one person has everything to be successful in business. So you have to ask yourself, who is a strategist? For example, in my case, I'm good in business. I come up with great business ideas. I understand numbers. I'm really good in finance and strategy. What I need to do in my family is to find someone who's good in operations, or maybe someone who has capital. So when you're looking at actually making money in a business, you actually have to figure out what is it that you need, and can you find that in that demographic that you're in this case, a family. But if you cannot find family who are good in business or who are interested in being wealthy like you, then what I would recommend is at that time, then you find like-minded people. Like-minded people are people who are visionary, who say, I want to make money. How do I make money? I know I cannot do this on my own. I know I have to be organized. I know that I need the right information to actually be in business and make money. So they will come together and then be able to form a company in this case, and you can be able to make money together. Now, the key always is, where do you find these people? And these people, what do they bring to the table? And even yourself, you have to ask yourself, what is it that I bring into the table? Because people will only partner with you if they see value in what you bring. If you do not bring any value, then nobody will want to partner with you. So when you're thinking about creating wealth in business, again, remember there are different ways of going into business, and I've just mentioned them. You can decide whether you want to be in active business or you want to be in passive business. The other way of making money in business, you can decide, do I want to go into this full time, or do I want to have a side hustle? In the case of Kenya, you will notice that our culture encourages the side hustle, right? For a time, when I was working, I've always had a side hustle. I've always said you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I've always believed that you want to have a side hustle or somewhere where you're getting additional income. But there comes a time when you're stretching yourself too thin. So I always tell people, even when you want to get wealthy and you decide you want to do business part-time, you want to do it in something that you can actually manage, because you want to give your all to the company that you're working. So you want to make sure that you're maximizing your time when you're working, so that you can actually, grow the business, add value to that company that you're working for or that organization, and then you can actually make money through your side business, through your side hustle. So it's a good thing to have, and especially now when you see what's happened with this crisis of COVID, you see a lot of people are losing their jobs, and if they've lost their jobs and they didn't have a side hustle, what are they doing? They have nothing to do. But you see, if you had a side hustle, then now this is the time that you would spend more time refining it, looking at opportunities. So that's why it's advisable to actually have a side business. But I always tell people, you want to actually look at your situation, because sometimes you might not have the time, energy, or the resources to actually do well in a side business. Now, outside that, what I've been really encouraging people to do, especially people who are employed and have consistent income, because as I mentioned earlier, I've been really, we at Rival Africa have been encouraging people to do the SBI formula to actually create wealth. You actually have to have a salary, business profit, and investment. What I've been encouraging a lot of people who have salaries, and especially people who are in companies that are not in any way or form going to lay them off anytime. Maybe you're in government or you're in some kind of NGO situation whereby you don't think you're going to lose money. Those are the cases where you want to use your salary, right? So with your salary, you understand how much money you're making, how much money you're spending, and take a chunk of that to actually put it into a business. Now, earlier I mentioned you can either put it into a side business, like a side hustle where you're also actively in that business, or you could actually look into going into a different direction whereby you're in business, but you're not actively in that. And that to me is the future of business investing, especially now with what COVID has been happening and with what technology is doing. One of the things I've been encouraging people, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. This is the time, especially if you have a chunk of money in your bank account, in your money market account, or different investments that are probably giving you single digits. You want to start saying, can I be an angel investor? Now, people ask me, what is an angel investor? An angel investor is really someone who has extra income, someone who is saying, look, I believe in business. I've had someone who has a great idea, have extra income, and I want to put money into this business. I might not necessarily want to be there day in, day out, but I want to actually take the risk in this business because I see that this business will actually grow in the future. So when you become an angel investor, you just look for opportunity, especially for young people right now. They have great ideas. They know how to make money online, but they just don't have the money. So the way you can become wealthy is by finding opportunities of this young, not necessarily young, meaning 20s, but relative someone who is actively in business, who has the energy. You can actually be an angel investor by putting startup capital in their company, which is still in idea phase. And if that company grows and it's successful, then you will make money two ways. Either one, through the business profits. Like I mentioned, the profits are when the money you make after the expenses have been deducted from your income. Or the other thing that is becoming popular and more popular is if this business actually becomes scalable and big enough that other investors are interested in, then now you can actually go in and liquidate, right? So you will see a lot of people, especially in Silicon Valley, in the States, have made money because they started putting money into these very risky early stage businesses. And at the time when the business had to be sold either to a private equity fund or a venture capital fund, or it went public, then they were able to then sell off their shares and make a whole lot of money. So one of the things I'm encouraging people to do is, one, become an angel investor. And we need to create that culture, especially in Africa, because we don't have so many angel investors. The second thing we need to be looking at is, can you be a strategic investor? Now, a strategic investor is a little bit different from a straight up equity investor. Most people, when they think about equity investor, they think about a private equity fund or venture capital fund, which usually just finds a great opportunity and they will tell you, we'll give you this amount of money for you to then give us some shares in your company, and they're not actively in the business. So they just saw an opportunity. They know you need money, and so they put money into your business. So that's a straight up equity investor. The other thing what I've been telling people is, you can actually say, I want to be a strategic investor, meaning you will actually put money into this company, which is equity, but at the same time, you can say, look, I have connections, right? So say, for example, it's a company that sells water, beverage, right? Water, juice, or different things like that. Maybe you have connections in the hospitality industry or in corporate who can actually buy these things. You can actually go in, be a strategic investor, put in your equity, bring in your network, make sure that this company is actually successful so that you can eventually grow this business and cash out and make a lot of money. So when you're thinking about being in business, and not necessarily being active, you can still become, like I said, an angel investor. You can also be a strategic investor. And then the third thing is you can become an equity investor. So there are various ways of you being in a company, but you don't necessarily have to leave your day job, as I put it. So, but you have to be very careful when you're looking at these opportunities. You have to make sure that you do your due diligence on this company. You have to make sure that, you know, who's behind it. Who is behind that company is very important. I can tell you when I was in San Francisco and I had this great idea of doing this fintech company a couple of years ago, and I went to all those funders and they were like, you know what, great idea, but what we do is, as investing firms, we really look at the person and not necessarily the idea. That's when I came to find that out. I thought having a brilliant idea was all it was about. No, it's about the person, and not necessarily the person. It's about the team. So they were more interested in people who had great teams behind it. And the reason I'm bringing this up is to say that people will back you in any business. When you're looking to be an investor, you actually have to look at it and say, look, this person is great, but do they have a team behind it, right? Because if it's just one person, they're more risky than if it's a team behind it. So you have to do your due diligence if you want to be an investor, maybe an equity investor, a strategic investor, or an angel investor. And the last thing I'll talk about before I start answering any questions, because it's about 6:30. The other thing I keep telling people all the time is I love business, and most people, when they think about business, they think about SME business, but I'm also interested in actually owning a chunk of shares in corporates, right? If you look at how much money Safaricom makes in Kenya, if you look at how much money KCB or Equity Bank makes, they make a lot of money. If you're in the States, Microsoft, Apple, all these companies make so much money. And I'm always like, I wish before I used to say, I wish I owned this company so that I can be the wealthy of the wealthy and I can do whatever I want to do. And I realized the answer is very simple, just own shares of those companies, right? So if you're interested in Apple, buy shares of Apple, right? And if you're interested in buying shares of Equity Bank, buy shares of Equity Bank. And what really happens in this case is you own that company because you own shares, but the person who does the day in, day out running of the company is actually the CEO of that organization. So in this case, if it's Equity Bank, it's James Mwangi. So he's the one who has sleepless nights trying to figure out how equity will become successful. But you are passively sleeping, you're sleeping at night, you put money in the shares, and if he makes the right decision and the company grows, then guess what? You also make money. You make money either through the capital gains because you've actually bought, hopefully, the shares when they were low, and so because the company is growing, the share price goes up, so you're able to make money that way. Or you actually make money through dividends. So when the company makes a lot of money, they're able to share out the profits to the shareholders as dividends. So that's another way of making money through business. And with that, I know you probably have many questions because making money through business has very many different variables. So if you have any questions, I would say just go ahead. If you're on Facebook, just go ahead and put it on the chat, and I will go ahead and answer that. And if you're on Zoom, I can go ahead and answer that too, so that we can continue these conversations with Gaitha. All right. Let's see here. If you're on Zoom, I see a couple of people on Zoom. Please go on the chat, which is the top right-hand corner, and just put your question, and I'll go ahead and answer that. And if you're on Facebook, I can go ahead and answer your question. So I see here, Pauline is saying, looking forward to learn new insights of creating wealth. Great. I hope I touched on something new that you didn't know, but if you have any questions specifically about business, how to structure business, how to look for opportunities in business, just go ahead and write it down and I'll be able to answer that. I see a couple of people, but I'm not seeing any questions. Did I answer everything, or are you still waiting for someone to ask the questions? All right, I'll just give you some time. Please just put your questions and I'll be able to answer. Usually what I do beforehand, I usually ask people to send me questions so that I can be able to answer on this call. And so I have a couple of questions here. So I have someone who says, I have a great idea, but I don't have capital. How do I get funding? I have a great idea, but I don't have capital. How do I get funding? Um, that's the $1,000,000 questions, right? So a lot of people have great ideas, or they think they have great ideas, but they don't have funding to actualize their vision. And that becomes the tricky part. But it is possible, but it's also not very easily done. Most people, when they're starting up their business, they usually start out by what are considered the 3Fs, right? Friends, family, and fools. But I actually changed it and made it a little bit different. I would say the people who will support you at the very beginning, besides yourself and your savings, are your family, your friends, and find angels, right? Not fools, find angels. But I think someone who actually believes in you is someone who's important and shouldn't be called a fool. So I would say it's a find angel. And Alia was talking about angel investors. It's not something that is prevalent in Africa. It's mostly seen, well, I've seen it in the US, in Europe, in Asia, but it's yet to actually take root in Africa for whatever reason, I'm not too sure. But you want to, if you have a great idea, one of the things you want to do is, first of all, have the plan, the business plan on paper, because whoever you are looking to fund you has to see exactly what it is you're talking about, okay? So you have to have done thorough research around this business. What are the opportunities? Who's your target market? Who is the team behind it? How much? You also have to show them how much you're going to be investing in. Is it money? Is it sweat equity? What is it that you're bringing to the table? You really need to know that market in and out, because the person who will put money into your business is someone who will see that, look, I cannot do this myself, right? They need you to actualize that business. So that's why they'll put money into their business, into your business. If they think they can do it themselves, they'll probably do it themselves. So you also have to be very careful who you're talking to. So the first thing I always say is to have that business plan in place before now you can actually go and look for funding. But I also believe that the most important thing you can do is actually invest yourself. So if you have a great idea and hopefully you were working before, then you can actually put money into this business, at least the first 1, 2, 3 years, so that you can actually show people that, look, this is something that I totally believe in, and people will put money behind it because they know that what you've been doing is something that you believe in and you're not about to lose their money or anything. So, but if you do not have any savings, your family is not able to support you, or you don't have friends who can support you, then now you can go ahead and look for angel investors. One of the things, the company that I run called Regal Africa, we set up a subsidiary that we call East Gold. What we're doing is East Gold is really trying to link businesses to funders, investors, and advisors. And so we are constantly looking for people who are interested in angel investors, who we then link them up with business opportunities where they can make money. So but for you, if you have a great idea, just start working on the idea. Just make sure you can show that you can actually make money out of it, right? Because sometimes we think you can until you actually go into the real world and you see that it's not possible. So test it out, pilot it out. And once you show that this business is scalable, is sustainable, and it's profitable, then people will come and give you money. All right. So I hope I answered that question. I see here, Diana is asking, if you're looking to be an angel investor and I'm interested in the tech world in Kenya, how would you suggest to get started? Should I look into tech hubs as a starting point? Right, so that's a good question. Kenya is considered the African Silicon Valley, right? And there was this, it's been like that, especially in Nairobi, and me being very interested in fintech. There's a lot of opportunity in Kenya specifically. because there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of creativity, innovation, there is. So yes, there are different hubs that are actually where different people go in. They have great ideas and they're testing it out. So they're piloting out their ideas, and so that would be a way for you to actually go in and just look. Most of the time, a lot of startups go for different um, pitching opportunities. So people bring together different investors and they pitch in front of them, and that is the way that you can be able to find this opportunity. But beside those tech hubs, I always say someone's reputation actually goes before them, right? So if you're really looking to be in the tech world, you really need to look at people who are already in that industry, people who are veterans, people who've been in that industry because they know it in and out. They will then be able to actually tell you, by the way, I know of this company, of these people who have started up this particular startup. They're looking for money, and then now you can then now go and vet those people. When you're vetting the companies to invest in, you actually have to look at, again, their business plan, their team, how much skin in the game they have, what is their reputation? Are you going to give them money and then they run away? Is it quick rich? They want to be rich instead of being wealthy. Those are the things that you look at. But I would say you can go to the tech hubs, but you can actually look at industry veterans who would be able to advise you and show you where to invest. And like I said, we're coming up with this East Gold platform whereby hopefully people will be able to just go online, narrow down to technology, narrow down to Kenya or Nigeria or South Africa, and then you have a list of all these companies that are looking for funding, and then you can do due diligence on them. All right, Dan, I hope I answered that question, and you've been able to learn more about how to be an angel investor. All right. I see a question has come in from Lily. Lily says, thanks, Anne. I missed out on session 1, 2, and 3. How can I get the information? I'm employed and desire to be in business. How can I have further discussions with you? All right. So I'll answer the first questions where she said she missed session 1, 2, and 3. So what I've been doing, I've been recording all my sessions, so you can actually find them on my Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/Anne Gaitha. That's ANNEGAITHA. I also have a YouTube channel, so you can just Google Anne Gaitha. YouTube will come and you'll see all the videos that I have done, and you can see all the information that I talked about, which was, like I mentioned, the wealth formula, map your life formula, and the different ways to invest. And also after this session, I'll be putting this out so you can actually look at it again and you can share with your family and friends. She said, I am employed and desire to be in business. How can I have further discussion with you? All right, so at Regal Africa, the company that I run, we specifically focus on businesses that are scaling up. So usually businesses that have someone who's been in business at least 3 years, who's looking to raise capital, who's looking either to merge or acquire or restructuring. So we're looking at businesses that are looking to scale up. That's what Regal Africa was set up to do. But we do have subsidiary, which I mentioned is called East Gold, EAST GOLD, East Gold Connect, and you can actually just Google it or email us at info@eastgold.co.ke. Now, this is where we're talking to people like you who are employed and are desiring to be in business. So you either start it off as a side hustle, or you can actually take a leap of faith and actually go into business. But there are certain things you need to prepare, because business is not for the faint of heart. Business, you have to be very strategic. You have to be prepared. It's like going into war. You have to be ready mentally, financially, support system. It is not easy, but it can be done. So if you want further discussion with us in regards to startup business, you can reach us out, like I said, on East Gold, which is info@eastgold.co.ke. And then once we understand your particular situation, we can then be able to help you to prepare for that transition from employment into business. And I wish you all the best. But I always say, before you do that, be prepared. Be prepared. All right. And then I see a couple of people also joining in. I see Rachel and Jerry says this is also very helpful for film producers. Yes, film. I'm very passionate about the creative industry, and I actually think film is very critical. Sorry about that. It's very critical. Maybe it's because I lived in Los Angeles for 15 years. So I really got to see how money is made in film. And I think Africa specifically, we have great stories to tell, and we need to show them on the big screen. So I think film is really great. And when you're looking at film, it's not only the talent, the actresses, right? The actors, it is the producers, it is the investors into the film industry. It's a business. The amount of money people make in film is humongous if it's done well. If you look at the wealthy people in Nigeria, a lot of them used to be in oil and gas, but then a lot of them are making money through film, right? So it is a great thing to look into that, and they just need to make sure they understand film industry, understand the distribution ways of film. I think the future is bright in Africa because now we have technology. You can just do a film and be able to distribute it online. You don't need the old way of distribution. There's Netflix. There are a couple of online subscriptions that are coming out of Nigeria, South Africa, and hopefully Kenya soon. So the film industry is really, really ripe for investments. So some of you who are looking to grow wealthy and you're looking at what industry should I actually participate in, I'm always telling people right now, everyone is talking about essential services, but the future is going to be the creative industry. And I'm talking about film, art, music, fashion, all that, all those creativity, that it's something innately in us as Africans that no one can take away from us. And we just need to tell our stories, positive stories, and you'll make a lot of money that way. So I wish you well, Rachel. I see here a few people joining in also on Facebook. Go ahead and just put a comment, put a question. I'll be really glad to assist you with that. I have another question here from someone who says, I work in a family business in the education industry, but I want to do something more interesting and follow my passion in tech. Can I do both to create wealth? Family business education, and they're interested in tech. Family business. Earlier mentioned, I've been encouraging a lot of people to actually go into family businesses, because if you look at successful businesses that have stood the test of time, some of them are family businesses. A majority are not successful, but some are. So I always tell people you have to look at what those successful family businesses have done so that you can actually learn from them, because your child cannot inherit your salary, but they can inherit your business. So in this case, their family business is in education, but they're not interested in it. Their passion is in tech. So how can they create wealth? This is what I would say. If you find yourself in this situation where it's conflicting, the industry you're working in and your passion, you have to find a way to actually combine the two, right? So how do you combine education and tech, right? EduTech, right? And I think this is really a great time. Maybe you need to talk to your family business, because education means, I don't know, it could be primary, high school, or college, uni. I'm not too sure which education where you are, but you can actually go in and say, look, why don't we bring a technology platform for education for a particular school? And then now you put yourself responsible for that particular department. How do you use technology to actually reach people outside the location that you're in, and you can be able to offer these courses online? So I would say that you can actually talk to your family and then just say what it is that you're interested in doing and see how you can combine it. But if you're not interested in EduTech per se, then what I would say is you can support your family business differently, right? You can support them as, chief technology officer, right? Overseeing strategy around technology, digital transformation, and then you can start your own tech business, right? So it will depend on whether your family is ready to see your vision or not. If they are, stick with the family and build the family empire. If they are not, start your company on the side, but still support them where you can. All right. So I hope and I wish you well, but I do see a lot of opportunity in edutech. One of the things that I'm planning to do is do a few training courses really around creating wealth, creating generational wealth, financial workshops, and I'll be using platforms like Zoom and other, online services to actually do these courses and teach and share with people. And I do that because there's no restriction. Anyone in the world can be able to log in. As you can see on Facebook, I have people from Los Angeles, people in LA, people from around the world, people here in Kenya. So technology is your friend. So take advantage of that, and I think you can balance the two of family business and your passion. All right. I do see more people on Zoom. If you have any questions, please put them on the chat. I'll be glad to answer. If it's something very specific, let me know. I'll be able to answer that. Sometimes, just because of the nature of the way this what conversations are, I can't really deep dive into the answers. So you actually need to set an appointment to speak to one of our advisors at my company, just like Lee asked. You can be able to do that. But I think it would be great if you just ask the question, because somebody else might be wanting to know that answer. And if you ask the question, you'll be able to help a lot more people who are on the call or who plan to be, who will see the video later on. All right. So I have another person who says, I'm in the diaspora and I would like to start a business in Kenya. Should I start with my family? How can I do it when I'm in the US? All right, my diaspora people. So they'd like to start a business in Kenya. Should they start with their family, or can they do it? How can they do it in the US? Not to repeat myself, but I think I just mentioned it earlier, and I said the same thing. You can either decide to be actively in business, or you can actually invest in a business passively, depending on whether you want to be a silent partner, an equity investor, just depending on what scenario you'd like that to be. So if you are not in a particular location, so you're in the US and the business in Kenya, there's no way you can oversee the day-to-day operations, right? So the best thing to do is then find a local partner who you can partner with. And the partner that you partner with locally has to be someone that you trust. Now, do you trust your family? Do you trust your friends? Is there a group of people that you can trust, right? So that would be the first thing. For you to start a business and you're looking for a partner, you have to find trusted people who can actually actualize the vision with you. Because if you don't find trusted partners, then it will not be successful. Someone will get hurt. So that's the first thing. Should you start with your family? I say it depends. I encourage family businesses because I believe in family businesses and I believe in creating generational wealth. But I'm also cognizant of the fact that not all families are the same. I come from a great family, at least we support each other. So, for me, doing business with my family is easy, but some people it's not. So understand your family dynamics. And then if you are able to do that and you have family locally, right? So you're in the US, you see an opportunity maybe in healthcare here, right? Dialysis. You see an opportunity in, I don't know, car business. You see opportunity in financial service industry. You see opportunity in setting up a factory, dried mangoes or tomatoes that you can export to the US, taking advantage of AGOA, all those opportunities. What you can do is then say, you know what, I will find this group of people that I will partner with. You're the connection in the US where they'll be able to get the market, maybe you bring the capital, find trusted partners, and then you can do that. But I would recommend, if you can, take that trip back home, right? Understand, because I can tell you the business culture here is very different from the business culture in the US. So you'll be surprised. So you have to understand the business culture wherever you're investing, whether you're investing in Kenya or whether you're investing in Nigeria, Ghana, wherever you're investing, just make sure you understand the business culture, because the way you do business in one culture is different from the other. So be on the ground, understanding before you put your money into that business, right? And I wish you all the best, because I actually believe that the diaspora is who's going to change Africa. That's my honest belief. The Africa diaspora returning, because I believe we have heart and love for Africa, and I believe we have the money, the knowledge, the connection, so we can be able to actually create wealth here in Africa. In fact, next week I will be having two people. I'll be having the chair lady of KNUT, which is the Kenya North Africa Diaspora Circle. Her name is Dr. Lucy McKenzie. She'll be here talking to us about how to invest, what she's been doing with women in the US, and how they've been investing or looking for opportunities here. There'll be also, I will be having the managing director of Nabo Capital, which is a licensed fund manager here in Kenya, who will be joining us just to tell us more around investing, and specifically around the diaspora, right? So if you're in the diaspora, just join in. You'll hear nuggets of wisdom about what opportunities are there, and I will be moderating it, so you can tune in. But there are opportunities that, like I said, I totally believe the diaspora will make a change in Africa. All right, so I continue seeing more questions here. I'm still waiting. I see Bea Murungash. Okay, sorry. Sorry. I have someone here who says, hi, Anne. Could you say something about farming business opportunities? There's a lot of interest in agribusiness right now. Is it just a fad, or it ain't a good opportunity? Is there an investment model that works best for agribusiness? Wow, this is a really great question, because I have been telling people, if you want to make business money, if you want to create wealth in the next decades to come, you have to be in three industries: agribusiness, real estate, business funding. Those are the three opportunities that I have seen that will make people a lot of money. But they're also risky, right? They're also risky. So for me, what I would talk about in regards to agribusiness, it is not a fad. What I have seen was the way it was structured was done the wrong way. So if you notice, and I'll speak about Kenya specifically, right? The way agribusiness was done before, this new trend was you go buy a plot of land and you put a greenhouse. The people who are coming up with these ideas were actually selling the land. That's how they were making money, not in the agribusiness. So they were not really agribusiness investment opportunities. They were just land selling companies who are selling land and telling this is an opportunity. So that's why I think it wasn't as successful as it could be. But the investment model that will work best for agribusiness is when you come collectively with others to do business. And you have to look at the whole value chain. You can decide you want to be in the production space. You can be able to decide you will be in the adding value space. You can actually decide you want to be in the packaging and distribution of the agribusiness. So even when you're looking at agribusiness, you're looking at a whole value chain, and you have to decide what part do I want to play in, because agribusiness is not only about production. So for example, if you look at mango, you can say, do I want to farm mangoes? And I think that's what you're talking about, farming, right? So if you decide you want to go into farming mangoes, then it is great, right? It is risky because many things happen, but there are risk mitigation things you can do. If you are going to, in this case, I'll just use mango. If you're going to go in and you're going to farm mangoes, you have to make sure that you're getting the right input. What are the right mangoes? Do you understand the soil? Do you understand the how to do the right things in farming to make sure you have the right mangoes at the end? And I always tell people, before you start farming, you have to know where the market is. Who is your market? Is your market going to be hotels? Is your market going to be a factory that is actually converting, adding value from mangoes to mango juice? Is your who is the end market? Because before you start farming, you want to make sure you have a contract with the person who's going to buy from you. So that is what I would recommend. Understand where you are in the value chain of agribusiness. Make sure you have a contract. So you're not starting and going into farming and then you're waiting until it's harvest time and then you start looking for market. That was the way people did it in the past, and it is not successful because mostly it's not successful. And the reason is because in this case, farming, it's perishable goods, right? So if you don't sell, then you have to give them away or they rot, or you sell them at a throwaway price. So you want to be careful about that. So the investment model, I would say, is do it collectively. Don't do it in quarter, 1 acres. Find a group of people whereby you actually come collectively together. Do, in this case, mango farming as a group. Find the contract whereby you'll be able to sell these mangoes to. And that way you'll always know this is what I need to do and this is what I expect. And that way you can be able to tell if you're making money or not. But agribusiness is a great investment opportunity and a great business to be in. I see someone here who says, thanks for this wonderful eye-opening session. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I have a question here from Nyambura who says, you're doing a great job, Anne. Thank you. Real estate is what I do for a living as one of the income streams that you recommended for your clients. Kindly work with me, Nyambura, my hair, Swans Green Limited. Thank you, Nyambura. And for all of you who are interested in investing in real estate, you can reach out to Nyambura. She runs Swans Green Limited here in Kenya, and she will be glad to help you. All right. And then I see a few more questions coming in here. I do have Pauline. She says, hi, Anne, great job. One of the challenges facing SMEs for expansion and poor record keeping. What advice would you give, bearing in mind that capital is limited and as such, they are unable to seek professional help, even for simple tasks as asking bookkeeping? So, all right. Now, Pauline, this is what I'll say. And it's just from my profession, being a banker and being in the investment world the last couple of years, there is money. People have money and they want to put money where they'll make more money. And a lot of people want to put money in businesses. The challenge is, have you prepared your business for funding? And that is what ails a lot of us. A lot of us have not prepared our businesses for funding. We have poor record keeping, right? So if you have poor record keeping and I'm an investor, how do I know that if I give you this amount of money, you'll be able to make money? You have no record of showing me. Just because you tell me, by the way, if you put money into this business, I'm selling electronics, or I am in this bakery, or in this hotel, there's a lot of money in hotel. You have to show me. In business, it's about the numbers, the numbers, the numbers. I always tell people the numbers don't lie. They tell a story, right? So what we do specifically at Regal Africa is we actually analyze the financial statement. You know, your balance sheet, your profit and loss, we look at your cash flows. We'll be able to tell you how your business is doing. So the first thing, before you can actually get money for expansion, which is what everybody wants, you actually have to understand where you are right now. And then you can figure out how to make that. You need to figure out how to prepare yourself for funding. Now, real quick, because I see it's 7 o'clock, there are two major ways of getting funding, either debt funding or equity funding, okay? So even when you're looking for capital, you have to figure out, how do I get this funding? Now, with debt funding, it just means you're borrowing and then you pay this person back with interest, right? So it's the same way. You just go to the bank, you borrow, you pay them a certain amount of interest every month. You can go to a debt fund, the same thing. You can go to an individual, like I told you, business funding. You can come to me, I give you money, and I'll charge you an interest, and I make money out of that. Now, for me to be able to give you money for your business, you have to show me two things. One, your ability to pay, and two, your willingness to pay. So the ability for you to pay, you will be able to show me that through your financial statements, right? You'll be able to show me, look, this is how much money I make. If you give me this 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, this is what I'm going to do with it. And I will be able to pay you back. And I'll be able to look at your financials and be able to say, you know what? She actually has been selling, right? The limitation is probably she doesn't have inventory. So if I give her more money for inventory, she'll be able to sell more, right? So now you can actually sell me your business and I can put money into your business because I actually see the financials. But if you don't have the financials, there's no way for me to give you money. The second thing is the willingness to pay. Now, this is the big one. When you're actually going to anyone to give you money, they'll actually look at you as a business and say, if I give this person money, will they pay me? And the way you will show them is one, don't be don't be listed in CRB that you're not paying, right? So wherever you have to be always careful about your credit report, because your credit report shows whether you're borrowed and you're paying or you're not. So if you're not paying a loan, automatically, if I am a lender, I will say this person is risky. I will not give them money, or if I give them money, I'll charge a very high interest rate, right? So that's the other thing. The other thing you have to look at, I mentioned earlier about record keeping. One of the things funders look at is really when they're analyzing your financials, they look at, okay, when this person gets goods on credit or is given a service, how long does it take them to pay back? One thing I can tell you about Kenyan culture, people take 60, 90, 180 days before they pay somebody. The investors are watching. The funders are watching. They'll look and say, oh, this person, it takes them 150 days to pay somebody. And maybe you don't even have an agreement with that person who you're paying. It's just you've decided I won't pay them. Guess what? That tells me the character of that person in business. I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying that's what happens. So when you're looking for funding, you have to show somebody you're willing to pay and you have the ability to pay. Once you do those two things, people will give you money. People will give you money because they know, be it banks are in the business of lending. Debt funds are in the business of lending. If you're looking for equity funding, like I mentioned, that's another way where you can get funding, although there are different types of funding, but those are the main two things. You're going to look and you will see an equity investor will say, I'll give you money if I know you're going to grow this business. You're going to grow this business. Because if you grow this business, your valuation will grow. Say, for example, your company is valued at 10 million. And I give you a certain amount of money and now you grow it to 100 million. Guess what? If I'd actually given you 5 million for 50% of your company, now the company has grown to 100 million. Now my 5 million has turned to 50 million. I want to invest in that kind of business. So what you want to do, Pauline, and for all SMEs out there, you actually have to always position your business to potential funders and tell them, if you give me this money, this is what I want to do. And they're simple things. If it's funding, if it's about record keeping, Pauline, you can reach us out to Regal Africa, info@regalafrica.co.ke. There's even accounting softwares which are free. We can share that with you. We do accounting outsourcing, so we get a part-time accountant to come and do your books for you. Those things are very, very important. So there are solutions to what you're looking for. So just start with what you are and just do those small things, right? And eventually you'll get people willing to give you the money that you need to expand your business. All right, and I just have one more question before our wealth conversation ends because of time, and hopefully we'll be able to continue next week. I do see here, Nyambura says, does Regal have plans and feasibility studies for business ideas? Most angel investors want concept note or proposal. All right, so at Regal Africa, we do feasibility studies. We do business plans, strategy. There are different things we do, and we have businesses. Again, our core business are companies that are looking to scale up. So if you're just starting out, we do have companies and consultants that we work with at Regal Africa. So then, depending on your particular situation, we would be able to help you with that, either internally or with one of our partners or our consultants would be able to make sure they package that idea well for you so that you can actually go out there and look for the funding or go out there and try out that business. So yes, we are able to have businesses. Like I said, if your startup less than 3 years, you have the option to actually go through our East Gold department. If you're more established, more formal, more ready to scale up to take opportunities across the world, then you have the opportunity to get direct consultation with Regal Africa. So with that, I hope you learned something about how you can create wealth through business profits. As I mentioned, business profits, investment income, that is the way to create wealth. You will not become rich instantaneously. It will take time. It is something your children and your children's children can inherit. So you really want to think really hard about, is this what I want to do? And take a long-term view about that. But there's money to be made, and especially right now where things are changing. If you're creative, you're innovative, you're like the gentleman where you're interested in technology, there's amazing things that are happening, that are coming. And if you have the money, the time, the talent, you can take advantage of that and be able to make some money in years to come. All right. So with that, before I end, I really want to encourage you to join in next week for the Wealth Conversations with Gaitha. We'll have 2 amazing guests. As I mentioned earlier, we'll have Dr. Lucy McKenzie of KNUT. We'll have Mr. Pius Mishirimugo of Nabu Capital, who will be joining us and come ready to learn about creating wealth in Africa. I'm also coming up with different programs. So on June 6th, I have a program called Faith, Family, and Financial Prosperity. I'll be talking to people about the biblical principles of creating wealth. There's wealth to be made out there, and you really need to be able to understand. I already talked about the formula for what is the principle and what does God say about it. So if you have any questions, just reach us out either on my Facebook page, or you can email info@regalafrica.co.ke or wealth@regalafrica.co.ke, and we can give you more information about that. We're also offering a wealth book whereby you can sit down right now with your family. I've been telling people this is the time to talk to your family. You sit down with your family, understand, where am I and where do I want to go? What kind of business do I want to invest in? Where do I want to invest? What situation am I in regards to the income that I'm making, the expenses that I'm making? You actually have to understand your financial picture currently so that you can actually make money in the future. So I wish you all the best. So thank you again for joining Wealth Creations with Gaitha. I really appreciate that, and see you next week. God bless you. Bye-bye.